Hello and welcome back. This is the final video in my beginner's guide to getting started with art journaling. If you've got this far, thank you and well done you. You have made a real start, and today we're going to continue with our page, adding an image and some words and some finishing touches. My name's Jenna and I help people encounter God through mixed media art journaling. So today we are going to finish off our page. We are going to add a bit more paint, we're going to add an image, and we're going to add some words. And throughout that process we are going to stay open to God and anything that we feel like he might want to say to us. That might just be a simple feeling of his love and reassurance. It might be something specific. But we just want to be open to the Lord, don't we? So you might want to stick on some worship music, light a candle, whatever helps you get in that posture of receiving from God. The next layer that we're going to add to our page today is the white acrylic paint. And remember, I said you can use house paint if you don't have artist's paint. And we are going to use some of the mark making tools that we gathered, like bubble wrap or the cardboard or something maybe circular that we could print with, or anything interesting that will help us make some marks. I think I'm just going to go for the bubble wrap today. So I'm going to put some of my white paint out on my palette lid. And before I even do the bubble wrap, I might just add a little bit of white paint here and there, just to open things up a bit here. I normally get to this kind of middle stage in an art journal page where, to be honest, sometimes it looks a bit ugly. Some artists refer to it as the teenage phase. That's a bit mean to teenagers, isn't it? But you know, that kind of awkward phase where it's not quite sure what it's going to be yet, and sometimes there's quite a lot going on your page and you can feel a bit overwhelmed. At that point, white paint is your friend, so you can always add white. It is like a soothing balm for the stressed out art journaler, just to create a bit of space on your page. I particularly like doing the edges of bits of collage. Helps to blend them in. Again, we're not trying to paint over the whole thing with white, just doing it in a few areas to calm things down. And it also starts to maybe pick up on some textures from the papers that you've added. That could be good too. Let's have a go with that bubble wrap. So I'm just going to get some paint on my brush, paint it on to the, there's two sides. There's a flat side and the bubbly side. I'm painting it onto the bubbly side. It doesn't work if you've popped all the bubbles or your children have popped all the bubbles. They do have to actually still have some air in them. And then I'm going to press this down. I'm going to look for a darker area on which to press it down on, because it will stand out maybe a bit better. Gently pressing it down, not so hard as to pop those bubbles, and then gently lifting it directly up again. See those lovely spots there? My goodness, that just makes me happy any day of the week. Aren't they lovely? I think so. So generally speaking, if I do something in one area of the page, I will also want to do it in another area of the page, just to balance it out. I'm still feeling a little bit overwhelmed though, so I'm going to just add a little bit more white paint in the middle here. Right, I'm going to put that to one side to dry, and then we're going to think about our images. So you need to grab whatever magazine or marketing brochure that you have saved and put in your art journaling kit. So grab one or two of those, and maybe you might need your scissors as well. And what we're going to do, I know this sounds a bit strange, we're going to flick through the magazine and we're going to go really quite quickly, and we're going to pull out anything that jumps out at us, anything that gets your attention or gets some sort of response from you. We're going to rip it out and put it on a little pile. Now that doesn't mean we're going to use all of what we pull out on our journal page. We're just giving ourselves some options, and we're not going to overthink this. We're trying to engage the side of our brain that is intuitive and imaginative. We're not relying on logic, so we're not questioning the reasons why we're drawn to a particular image at this stage. We're just noticing that we're drawn to it and pulling it out and putting it on a pile. It's as simple as that. So I'm just going to do that now. And as we go as well, you might also notice some words that stand out to you, or little phrases or headlines. And when you do that, I want you to cut out the words and phrases too while we're at it. So when you get to say 4 or 5 images, that's probably plenty. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. So stop there. And I've got a few little words as well. So the next stage is to choose or audition your images on the page. So take a little bit of time, and you might want to trim them down a little bit. Place the image on the page and think, how does this fit? How does this fit with the things that I journaled around at the beginning? How does this fit with what I call the atmosphere of the page, the kind of vibe, the kind of feeling of the page as it's developed so far? How does it fit with the colours? Does this feel like the right image for this page? So I would go through each image. So for example, I love this image of this little girl. She just looks wonderful, and you can see why I pulled her out. She just looks like she's exhilarated and just full of joy and freedom. So I love that, and I might use that on a different page, but it doesn't really fit with what I was journaling about. I was actually journaling about some quite difficult stuff, some stuff related to my husband's work. So this kind of looked like a businessman, so this could fit. You don't feel like you have to explain or justify your choice of image at all, but do go through them one by one, place them on the page and see how you feel about them. We're just going to go for one image today, folks. I'm feeling drawn to this very graphic image here, which is a pile of chairs balancing on each other, and this is kind of what life feels like a bit to me at the moment. Like everything is rather precarious and could all topple down at any minute. So that is speaking to me in terms of its meaning. It's also speaking to me in terms of the colour, because it matches my orangey yellow, which is, you know, it doesn't have to be all colour coordinated, but it just so happens that it is. So that's making me feel warmer towards this image. And when you've decided, when you feel like you're homing in on an image, you can then go to your words. That could go on there. I'm not sure. I'll think about that. But I am feeling quite happy with this image. Now, I could totally just stick it down as it is. Because it's feeling quite small on the page, what I might do is just add a bit more collage behind it. Maybe some of this rainbow collage sheet that's available on my website. If you haven't downloaded your starter pack, get over there and you will find at jennaburn.com/get started a starter pack that has a number of things that might be useful to you. Now, I quite like that red. That feels like it's kind of highlighting the image a bit and giving it something to sit on. Now, I don't think I'm going to stick these words on, but if you've got some words from your magazine, directly from your magazine, that are working with you, I'm wondering if that red does work now. The red is on the page. I'm feeling kind of warmer about it, actually. Love and anger. It's interesting, isn't it, how we can have such a mixture of different emotions all at the same time. And I think that's part of what art journaling is about, is, let's just stick it down, is, you know, unpicking some of that and being able to identify what's going on with you so you can bring that to God. Because sometimes if we don't know, we can't really pray about it, can we? We just feel this big bundle of overwhelming emotion and we don't even know what it is we're really feeling. But through a process of writing about it and meditatively playing and relaxing into it, we can sometimes, the Holy Spirit can sometimes reveal to us the truth about what's really going on with us, so that God can help us with it. And I think that's what the journaling process can sometimes be. I'm just going to take a minute now just to sit and listen to God. And by that, I mean just sit in stillness. Sometimes I do put a bit of music on. I'm not going to be doing any additional art at this time. I'm just going to be looking at the page as it is and contemplating the journey that I've been on. So thinking about the journaling, thinking about this image and words, and asking God if there's anything he wants to say. And today, specifically, I'd like you to ask God for a word. So the word might be trust, or the word might be forgive, or the word could be anything, in fact. And that word might come to you internally. So it might be a still small voice that you hear in your heart. Or that word might come to you externally. It might be a word that you can actually still see from your original journaling, or it might be a little bit of a word on some collage, or something that you've already stuck on the page. So be open to external inspiration and that internal voice. So we're just going to sit quietly just for a minute and ask God for our word. Okay, so I've sat quietly for a minute or two, and the word I feel that's coming up for me is the word lean. In the same way as we would lean on a chair and we would put our weight on a chair, God is inviting me to lean on him. And we build these complicated structures to support us, and often they are not as robust as we would like to think they are. But we know with God we can lean on him, and he is robust. We can trust him. He is the rock, as he's described in the Bible as being a rock and a sure foundation. So lean is the word that came up for me. How did you get on? What word came up for you? If you're struggling with this and you are finding it hard to hear from God, don't panic. It is something that comes with time and practice. So if you're new to it, don't worry. I have in my Get Started pack that you can download from my website, I've got a list of words there that you can go through in the same way as we went through the magazine, and just let our eyes be drawn to something that would jump out at us. You can go through that list of words and choose a word that jumps out for you. So if that process of quiet listening didn't work for you, then go and download that sheet and see if any of those words resonate with your art journal page. Now, I would like to put the word lean on here. If I was really lucky, I would find it in a book or a magazine in complete form, but more likely I'm going to have to create the word from individual letters. And then I'm going to stick them on. I'm going to do these in a sort of higgledy-piggledy fashion because that kind of matches the higgledy-piggledy chairs and the idea of leaning on something, maybe. But if you want to stick them on nice and straight, that's fine too. That's really it, folks. There's lots more things we could do to this page, but I promised to keep it simple, and we have got all the ingredients there of a journal page. If you want to go in and add a bit more, I have just gone round these letters with a pen. I've done a little bit of doodling. Sometimes I like to do a tiny bit of doodling after I feel God said something to me, because that just helps me spend some time thinking about that and digesting it and thinking about how I might apply that to my life. So I like this scalloped edge I've done here, and these little hearts and these little crosses, thinking about what God said whilst adding a few final details, but that's not really necessary. You have done so well to get this far, and I am so proud of you. Well done. It's absolutely brilliant. Now, if you've enjoyed this and you want to know more, a brilliant next step would be for you to consider doing my online course. It's designed for beginners like you. There is no knowledge already assumed. We do use a slightly broader range of supplies. We definitely go into more detail in all the steps, the journaling, the collage, the play, the images, how we can listen to God through images and words, and how to put it all together to create a lovely, meaningful page like this. So if you are interested in it, there is more detail available over on my website. It's called Wild Art Deep Faith. So that would be the perfect next step after doing your first starter page. Well done, and thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. If you have any questions, or you weren't sure about anything, or I was a bit unclear about things, please ask in the comments below. And if you would like to share your finished page with me, you certainly don't have to. It can just be between you and God, and that's fine too. But if you would like to share it on social media, you can use the hashtag #GetJournaling, and I will look out for that. Yeah, and I'd love to see and hear what you've been up to. I hope you found this series helpful, and I will see you soon. God bless. Happy journaling.